What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to Punk Rock Review Podcast. I'm hanging out with Nicole today. She is plays synth in a band called Shadow Age, formerly of Softkill. Also working on a new what were you calling it? It's called Traffic and Laundry. It's like a
So it's Traffic and Laundry, and it's going to be a weekly free newsletter. You can sign up at Traffic and Laundry on Instagram, links in bio. It's a Substack, but it's going to be a weekly newsletter, essentially going to be anything that I find interesting in subculture, in art, in music, in fashion specifically, but also just like thoughts and ideas. So I sometimes feel like very limited, like in how I get to communicate those ideas with people. And so this is a way for me to do like more writing and do it in like a more long form way where people can like get sort of more behind the scenes about like how I think about the world and what's happening in the world for me that I find interesting. Because I'll go on like crazy deep dives. Like I'll spend like 3 days thinking about the like French nails in The Sopranos. Um, or like Janet Jackson's like Mickey Mouse Vivian Westwood tattoo. Um,
let's go.
and like I don't get to like talk about that stuff very often. Like I'll post it or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, this is like why I find this interesting. But I don't get to like do like sort of that deeper dive stuff about what is interesting to me about the way that the internet moves, the way that culture moves, um, the way that I view music and art and culture has always been like super thematic. So I've never really thought of it as like this sort of like rigid like separation, right? Like it's all this sort of like beautiful thing that like mixes and melds, and those pieces of inspiration like come to me like from all these different places. And sometimes they're silly, like sometimes they're Janet Jackson's tattoo, but like sometimes they're more in depth. And I don't get a chance to talk about that so much. I think this is a way for me to like directly connect with people, and it's free, and anyone can sign up and interact with me about it too. Because I want the feedback, like I want
Okay,
ideas.
that's awesome.
Um, I totally subscribe to the Strummer law, right? Which is like no input, no output. That's like Joe
Right.
Strummer's favorite quote.
That's
Like I'm a big believer that you have to just like have as much input as like possible to be like the best artist that you can be in the world. Like you have to be like just open to like mostly ideas, right? Like um not just like things, but like ideas, right? Because I think that's what actually like moves the world, you know? I don't know if that
absolutely.
makes sense.
No, it does. It makes a lot of sense. And it's funny because I had a little dose of reality hit me in the face today. I was like looking, I just talked to homie from No Time, and I was like looking for imagery to make a thumbnail. And somehow, I don't know how this happened. I came across like an article from a UK website, but I was in it. And I was like, what in the world? And like the dude like completely misunderstood me based on his words. And I had to like really like understand, like, first off, like you said, if you can't take criticism, you shouldn't be in a public eye. But like I'd be like, "Oh shit!" I don't know. It was funny when you said that. I was thinking like, yeah, I had to like really take some of the words he said and be like, maybe I should adjust some stuff I do. But like, it was interesting. But yeah, man. So that's cool. That's
I
like an
love
old school.
Adam. First of all, shout out fucking No Time, one of the best
Oh,
bands doing it.
so good,
I got to
so
do
good.
guest vocals for them. I got to do guest vocals for them in Philly when they opened for Templars. And like I can't like I don't have an oi voice. Like that's not like I mean like that's not my jam. But like so I'm like practicing, you know what I mean? Like in the fucking bathroom at the venue. I'm like, okay, cool, like and I know I can't do that shit, right? So if I was gonna do it, I would have done it by now, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm in the bathroom, like just embarrassing the fuck out of myself. I'm sure the other ladies in the restroom are just like, what the hell is going on in that stall? But I went up there and it was super fun. But what I love about Adam and all those guys in No Time is they really have the courage of their convictions. When Adam gets up on stage and he talks about anti-racism and he talks about politics and he talks about his stances on things, he does that with such a force and like such a conviction that I'm always just like so inspired by him. Like I'm just like, yes, like this is why we do this. Like this is important, you know? So like shout out to them. What a great band, you know? Like really
Very good band. Yeah, that guy was super cool, man. We talked for like probably 20 minutes longer than we planned on because it was just like so like organic and flow. He was so cool, man. I love being able to talk to people. Like this is like my dream come true, being able to reach out and talk to people that I admire, that I like their art, whatever that art may be. Like you're talking about doing this thing as like an old school vlog. Well, I like that. I like to read stuff like that. There's times where I'm sitting around, I can't necessarily listen to music and I want to read something. I'd rather read something that's, I don't know if curated is the right word, but like brought to us by a specific person. So it's more like a look into your mind, kind of. You know what I'm saying? It's I
Yeah.
think that'll be cool. I think if you can get a small loyal following, it'll probably grow bigger than that, even honestly. But like if you can get like a loyal following of people, dogs like what's up, Will? uh,
No, I have a 4-year-old pit bull, and I did my best to like. I gave him like a snack. I gave him like a bunch of stuff to do, and he's still like, "Let me bark at the person walking down the street
Hey, I'm not
innocently."
I'm not bothered by it. I got an American bully that I had to lock out of the room because he was going to jump, be here snoring very loudly. You'd hear it. But yeah, I think an old school vlog type thing, but like a little more. It's like a magazine meets a vlog, not a vlog. Excuse me, blog. You know what I meant? The written typed kind, but like blog meets magazine. I think is what you're aiming for. At least that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think like you said curatorial, like I think of like editorial because I totally believe that like actually being willing to like throw things away is like a much more important process, like in some ways, right? Like I think like knowing what you think is important and why, like why something is important, what the context for things are, like what, like I was saying about ideas, right? Like that's really like the idea of like stretching your fingertips like out as far as you can and finding something new or exciting. Or like Vivian Westwood has this great quote about nostalgia is great. We just don't go backwards far enough.
Mm,
Right. So her work always really mined sort of this like older ideas of like 18th, 19th century, right? Like she explored textiles and knits and stuff that were like very English. But like this idea that like you can communicate those things through ideas and objects and art, right? Like these ideas that are really complicated about being human, and you can take them and you can put them in these like really beautiful, simple forms. And then that creates like sharing and this like environment where you can like relate to each other, right? Because there's like what, maybe 12 human emotions total, and we all share them. And so we're trying to get to a place of like catharsis as far as like being able to relate to each other. That's the power of art, right? Like it can make what is seemingly very complicated like seem very simple. And so you can like relate to your fellow man that way. And that to me is like what's important about making art in general or like consuming art in any way or like interacting with it is like that like core humanity of it, right? And communicating like those ideas to people about like what you think is important about being human, you know? Not to say that like I have super great ideas, but I do think like it's cool to have those conversations with people, you know what I mean? And just be like, what do you
right.
think is important here? Like, why is this interesting? I think is the best question that like any artist can ask is like, what's important about this? Like, why is this something that I think is interesting or like fascinates me? And I want to know that about everybody else too. You know what I mean? Those are like the conversations like I want to have like in my life. Like we'll go to coffee and be like, what do you think is cool right now? Like what makes you what like gets you up in the morning? Like what stupid rabbit holes are you falling down? Like I want to know all those things, you know?
Oh, dude, I'm super on that wavelength. Like, totally understand that. It's kind of like the argument about like, do I want to have and I used to think a little different about this than I do currently, but like, do I want to have access to 25 million songs or do I want to have a curated record collection? Like, I'd rather have a small collection of records because, like you said, like what's actually important? Not what do I like, but what's important to me. Like, if I have 150 records, but I only listen to 30 of them, why do I need the other 120? Get rid of those. Keep the 30 you listen to. Like, it's not, who cares what people think is cool? Like, that's we get caught up in like what other people think about us a lot to where we're going, I can't get rid of this album because what if somebody comes over and then they see that I don't have this and da, da. I know that's how people think. I've thought that way. So I know that's how people think. It's ridiculous. Like, just get what you like.
The cool part about being a girl, you know, in the scene my whole life is like you get a very thick skin about that stuff. I think like the biggest thing for me is like never being afraid to be ignorant, right? Like I'm
Huh.
never like I'm always like if I don't know what something is, please tell me. Because the most embarrassing thing that can happen for me is that I never find out because I'm pretending, right? So like to to
Yes.
me,
Yes. Yes.
it's way more crucial for me to take the risk of embarrass. I mean, life is embarrassing. Like the whole thing is incredibly embarrassing. So like what I'm gonna be this thing that I've dedicated my entire life to, right? This thing that's part like and parcel of like me as an individual in the world. I'm gonna like not ask any questions about it. I'm gonna like not find out anything like about it that's interesting to me that I don't know. Well, that's the only way I'm gonna stay forever ignorant, right? Is like if I'm never willing to look stupid, right? If I'm never willing to ask like, what is this? You know, tell me
I
about
mean,
this.
I say that on this channel almost weekly. Like, hey, I don't pretend to know something I don't know, and I don't pretend that I'm cool. Like, I just like what I like. I mean, up until like 7, 8 months ago, I didn't even listen to The Clash because I had never heard Given Enough Rope. And like, it is what it is. Like, I still hear people give me shit about that. And I'm like, but at least I wasn't, like you said, pretending to know it. And then something happens and then it comes out in a really embarrassing way that I actually didn't know any of that. It's just stupid. Like, just do
Yeah.
you,
I
man. Like,
mean,
be comfortable in your
we
own skin.
all die we all die in our own arms. Like this whole thing is silly and embarrassing and life is short and like if I don't ask those questions, if I'm not willing to look stupid, if I'm not willing to put myself out there, then like I for sure will look stupid and I for sure won't ever know the good stuff. Because that's I guess that's my point about traffic and laundry is that like I just want it to be like all the good stuff. Like I just want it to be all the like that's my like life goal. And like maybe this is because I'm a recovering drug addict, right? But like give me the candy. Like I want all the candy. And for me at 14 years sober now, like the candy looks like that. It looks like music and art and like what's new. And it's really wild to me too that like a lot of people just stop listening to new music. They just at
That
some
blows
point
my
their
mind.
brain yeah, their brains just aren't really willing to live anywhere except for that, like, not too far in the past nostalgia point. And they refuse to keep like growing in that way. And like, I'm like, that's never gonna be me. Like, if you want to live forever, like, that's the way to do it. Like, you just have to continue to like consume art and be willing to put yourself out there and keep your finger on the fucking pulse and like find out like what's being made that's new. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't the scene doesn't really belong to us anymore, right? It belongs to like the kids
Younger, yeah, younger people.
and they
I,
get to decide what's cool, you know what I mean? Like not us, you
yeah, I
know?
was
But
just thinking about that. Like legit, like maybe 2, 3 days ago, I was thinking about how like, should I even be going to shows? Like I'm not out there in the pit. Like I'm out there, but I'm like, you know what? I do provide a service. So I'll just stay in my old man in the back and just kind of do my thing. But that's probably my favorite conversation that at my record store is like, hey man, do you still listen to like modern, like current music? And I'll be like, yes. And they're like, oh, I haven't done that in 15 years. What's good right now? And I can actually answer that question to a degree. I don't know everything, but like I have a fairly decent stable of bands in my head that are like all within the last 5 years. And I can be like, well, this, if you liked, some of this stuff back here, this is the direction it's heading. And, I can give them that. Or, hey, you like The Cure? Check out some of these like cold oi bands that you've probably never heard of. Like it's a whole different thing you've never heard. It's new-ish, and it's pretty fun, man. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from a lot, actually. I
that's
don't
like
that
a
doesn't
level
mean,
of intimacy. The best thing you can do to me is like send me like a band I've never heard that's sick or like
man.
send me like a piece of art that I've never seen before, or like send me like a weird reel that makes me laugh. Like that's the stuff that like I want to know. You know, I just want all that. You know, that's like I said, that's the good stuff.
Well,
Um, so, so I've been working on that. That's gonna launch I think next week. So it'll be like my birthday's April 24th, so that's my goal is to have it out by then, the first one, and then it'll be
oh
weekly
yeah,
after that. So, and it'll be like really timely too. Like I want it to feel like it's in the moment, right? Like it's what's happening that week for me. You know what I mean? Like what's happening in the world that week that like is interesting, not just like, oh, these are ideas I've had for a really long time, but like I want it to feel like fresh and like exciting and like I don't know, like that's what's cool. Like that's what keeps me motivated to like be in bands and to tour and to like keep making music and like keep making art is like I don't want to feel bored. You know what I mean? Like that's the
Right.
worst thing I could ever that could ever happen to me is like feeling like I was like I might as well be dead at that point. So this is like for me to keep myself interested, like to keep myself interested in the world and also like hopefully to like get some cool feedback and ideas from other people too.
Well, I mean, people that don't think that punk has something to do with fashion, they're ignorant because it does. So, like, having that be something you're interested, I think is healthy. I mean, you said you're 14 years sober. I'm coming up on 12 years sober. I'm telling you, we're like on the exact same wavelength because like I understand being like, no, dude, I'm like alive. I want to have like as much fun as I can. I want to do as much stiff stuff as I can do. I want to provide as much help as I can help. Like just all that positive. I want that out of my remaining years. And also I would like to just be interested in stuff. And I never wanted to go to a museum until I had a kid and he's interested in stuff. And like I find myself wanting to go do things like that now. And life is a weird journey. It is very short too, like you said a minute ago. It's very short. It goes by very quick. You can think
Yeah,
of
when I
your
was
whole
in
life in like a second.
LA, when I was in LA, I went there to model for this brand Fact, which was awesome. Like shout out Damon Way, like that brand is so sick. It's like totally like based in like avant-garde, post-punk, 80s culture. It's super subculture inspired, and he's just like an absolute real one. But I went to Punk Invasion, and then I also went to the Getty, and I saw Rembrandt. So like that was my weekend, right? Like I got to see a Rembrandt. Like what? Like that's amazing. And for somebody who spent most of their 20s like literally in a gutter, addicted to heroin,
Well,
like those things are super, super amazing for me. Still, they're like cherries on top. Like I can't. I have these moments where I'm like, that's a Rembrandt, and I have memories of sleeping dope sick in a tent. So for
right.
me, like even being able to like make art or be in a band and tour and make music, like that stuff is all like cherries on top for me. Those moments you're talking about, like taking your son to a museum, it's like that's the stuff that really is inspiring. And I did want to speak to like what I find interesting about fashion because I think it does get viewed like as this very superficial part of our culture, of our subculture. And I
It's
think
so
that's
ignorant in my
it's
opinion.
so not true, right? I mean, first of all, fashion's aspirational, right? So it's like, and it's the land of dreams, right? So we have all joined the circus, right? We ran away from home. We couldn't fit into normal society. We had antisocial tendencies. Most of us have some sort of like background that's a little bit hurt in some way. And those things led us to subculture. They led us to punk. They led us to those things that felt like a place we could belong, right? And I always liken it to the circus. Like we ran away, right? We ran away to the circus. And so we're living in the kingdom of dreams, right? As artists and as musicians and as people who participate in subculture, we want to have aspirations of something new and avant-garde and exciting. And that has been true in punk the entire time, but predating that with like 60s skinhead culture, like, and any subculture that predated that, right? So there's always been an element of fashion hand in hand with art and music and youth culture. And I think it's super important to like think about like what is important about those things in a like adornment kind of way, right? Like as human beings, as people who are creating identity in space, right? We're pulling these things out of the ether. We're originating culture and we're moving things forward. And that's to me like such a core thing about like what it means to be a human being in general. And as like part of underground culture, like we're literally responsible for that, like so that goes all the way up into the mainstream culture and back down again and up and down again. And that process is sort of to me like what moves the world. You know what I mean? So not to be like, oh, fashion is the most important thing in the world because it's not, but it is definitely like a integral part of like everything. Like it touches all the bases.
Well, I mean, when you're young, like let's say you're a punk rock kid or skinhead, you have like this, for lack of a better term, you have like a uniform that you'll have like this idea of what you're supposed to look like, right? A lot of that is for people to recognize you as a like-minded person. It's for like normal people to recognize you as not like-minded, but it's also like important because it's important to you. Like you may have like your favorite outfit. You may not have nothing else, man. You may be broke, your rent's late, your lights are getting turned off, but you're at a show dancing and you got like your favorite outfit on. That's expression and it's valuable. It may sound corny, but it's valuable, man. It helps you feel okay. And I think of that just like I would maybe a record or a painting or something, it is your way
Yeah,
of
and it's
expressing yourself.
tribal. It's definitely
Very
tribal,
tribal.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I think too, like beyond that, like yeah, it gives that sense of belonging, and that sense of self-expression, especially when you're young. That's so important.
Very
Yeah,
much
but
so.
but it's also like to some degree, I love the idea of like making like a song with Casio presets, right? Like it's like a confining template too at this point, right? Like um it's like okay this is the palette that you get to paint with, right? And so yeah, like if you're growing up in a subculture that's very rigid, like it's like okay, yeah, these are sort of the uniform rules, right? But then like we all get to decide like what that looks like for us individually, like you're saying. So it's like okay, we're painting within limitations, right? We're forcing ourselves to like into this palette, and then we get to like do with that what we want and make that our own if we're doing it right, you know? And I think that that's sort of the other beautiful part, right? It's almost like uniformity, individuality. It's this paradox, right? Of we are the thing and we're also ourselves within it. And that's such a like cool idea that I think other people don't think about at all when it comes to like how they dress or how they present themselves in the world, right? So I think we get this like cool opportunity to like both be part of and also like be individuals, you know? And that's a very cool idea to me. I don't know.
I think that's pretty well said. I people always go, "Oh, look, if I don't have the spiky hair, I'm not a." They like, mock it, right? And it's like, well, I mean, sure, you can look at it that way if you want. I tend to look at things a little more glass half full. I don't know. I think you're pretty pessimistic when you behave that way. When all you see is the negative stuff, you're going to have a negative outlook, a negative day, a negative opinion, a negative this. Or you could just look at it from a different way and not judge it and not be an asshole. As far as like making music with like Casio presets, it's like whenever you go to school and you're like learning how to do like art of any kind. I vaguely remember this in like high school, right? They gave you three colors and said, "Here, recreate this picture with these three colors. It's all you get." It's like you have to practice with minimal tools, and it gets you a certain bit of knowledge that you may not have gotten, or like it forces creativity out of you basically, and it makes you
Yeah.
think outside the box because you're like, how can I make music with just these presets that doesn't sound like all this other stuff? Get to work, start practicing it, start learning it.
Right. And often I find that like my most simple ideas, like the dumbest ideas I come up with, like the ones where I'm like, this is so fun, like this is so stupid. Like those tend to be the ones that, once again, to go back to like the idea of like simplicity, like communication and so, like communicating ideas in a simple way. A lot of times those really stupid ideas where I'm like, oh, I should really never tell anyone this out loud, those are the ones that resonate the most with people. Like you're just like really like that one, you know, like okay, but like that there is something beautiful about yeah, just having to like forcing yourself to just be like as simple and direct or like work within a limitation of palette. Like those things are like oftentimes like the best, randomly the best ideas because it does force creativity and like that's really like I don't know, to me like music has always been that like it's always been like ideas, right? Like it's
Right.
always been and it's also always asked the question like what if it was this but like this? Right? Like that is like one of the most important questions like I try to ask myself all the time like what if it was like a tomato but like actually an apple or something like that, right? Like
Let's go.
there's an interview with Yoko Ono where she's talking about this, where she's like, what if a pear tree was actually a pine tree, or what if a pear was actually a pine tree, right? And it's such a stupid 60s avant-garde, like kind of hippie idea, right? But I do really like the concept as an artist that like, yeah, like what if a pear was a pine tree? Right. And that to me is like what's beautiful about music, right? Switching out instrumentation. Like, what if this guitar part was a vocal? Like,
Yes,
what if
yeah.
this synth lead was a guitar part? Like, what if I changed the arrangement? Like, I think like all good ideas that I find really inspiring in music like tend to be some version of that, right? Because none of us are like reinventing the wheel, right? Like
No, not even a little bit.
so like Shadow Age is a great example. Like it is very much like the like it is a post-punk band. Like it very much has all of those elements to it, right? But I think what's cool about it is that it's trying to communicate ideas, right? Like we're all functioning on the same like palette of like instrumentation and like okay, like there's choral bass and like there's synth that sounds string like strings what we want to hear, like all that nuggety post-punk stuff, right?
Right.
But what is the strength of it, I think, with Aaron is that like there's all these like really cool ideas behind it. So I think we're living in the internet age, right? Like anyone can go online and like figure out how to sound like New Order or Joy Division. Like anyone has like the ability to go buy literally all that gear, go get the uniform. You know what I mean? Those things are really easy. I think like what makes bands great in general, like across genre, is like what are you trying to say? Like what do you have to say? Like what ideas do you have that are gonna like hit me? And I'm gonna be like, oh shit, that's like about me. You know what I mean? Like I can
Oh, I
relate,
love when
you
a
know?
song does that to you. When you hear a song and you're like, that's me. And people are like, no, it's me. You're like, that's cool, you can have it too, but this is about me, man. And I'll tell you why. And then you make your own art. I mean, don't get it twisted, man. You can take something real simple and that's really widely available and make a hit, dude. Look at Gorillas. Did they use like all presets for that? It was Clint Eastwood, I think. It's like a bunch of like pre-made like little things on this little bitty keyboard. I mean, I saw that little reel and it blew my mind. Like I was like, what the F is going on? So I mean, you don't have to have, yeah,
I've been
yeah,
talking a lot about this with visual art, like with AI lately, about how like, okay, like it's a tool, right? But like you still have to have ideas. So it's like these, it's really simple in some ways to make art. You know what I mean? Like it's often not complicated. Like there's technique and stuff, right? And there's like technical know-how, like with synthesizers or with like learning. I mean, to be fair, I will not say this about playing a string instrument, right? Like like learning to play guitar is like locking yourself in the room during your like formative teenage years and like forcing yourself to like not socialize or like have like normal relationships with people
right,
while you master like an incredibly difficult instrument. I often find that that's like when people are like, oh, like guitar players are like, I'm like, yeah, everyone in bands are weird. Like instead of like going out and being around other human beings when they were like 11, 12, 13 years old, they were like locked in their room, like mastering a guitar, which is like not easy, you know what I mean?
right.
Um,
I mean, I'm still not very good at guitar. I've been playing for a long time.
but yeah, I mean, oftentimes like the actual like ability to make the thing is like really simple. It's the idea behind it, right? So it doesn't matter whether it's Casio presets or not, right? It's the idea. If the idea is good, you're gonna find a way to execute it really like beautifully, and you're gonna be able to communicate that really well. I was always like, man, I was like, I don't know, going to parties and like getting drunk and like doing cocaine when I was like 13 and 14 years old. Like that was my prior, like unfortunately, like that was my priority.
Well,
So
I
I was like not trying to do all that, you know,
you ever stop and think like, man, if I hadn't spent 12 years doing dope, would I how good at piano would I be right now? Like, how, or
all the time. That is a daily thought for me where I'm like, man, like I probably could have like, who knows really what I could have done. I have this funny story about how like I'm I'm homeless. I'm strung out on heroin. I'm literally living in a tent, right? And I don't have a cell phone. I have like nothing, you know. I have like a backpack and a tent, and that's it. And every day I'm waking up sick and I'm having to hustle. And it's like I'm living in Portland, which fortunately for me was like a pretty easy place to be strung out, I guess. But like, but like, you know, it rains 8 months of the year, you know, it's pretty serious. So I would go to this high school. There was this high school in downtown, this like Jesuit Catholic high school, and I would go into their dumpster because they would throw out books. And so, yeah, so I would go and like dig through this like high school dumpster. And mind you, I'm like high school age, you know, I'm like a teenager still. And I would take out any books I could find, and I would have this like backpack full of books, right? So I'd be like walking around the city, like pulling licks, like stealing, like boosting, like just whatever I had to do to get well. But then like I'd have like this backpack full of like Shakespeare because that was like what they tended to have. And so like, it was like high school text. So I would sit in my tent at night with this like little like headlamp on, and I would like read Shakespeare. And like that's how I read like all the classics actually was like I didn't have a TV, obviously. I didn't have electricity. I
Right.
was living in a tent. So like the only entertainment or like form of entertainment or access I had to like anything was these books. And it became like a running joke amongst like my fellow junkies. That like, yeah, like, oh, the weird girl who's always reading.
Shit, what
But
else
that
you
was
gonna
like
do?
totally. I mean, that was most of my education, like came from just doing that. And so when we talk about like we're talking about like in general, like the possibilities in the world, right? Like about how like limitation of palette, right? Like I didn't have access. There was nothing, right? So like my brain was still hungry for that stuff. And so I would find a way like to make those things work and like to learn about things and like to learn about the world, even though, I'm like a strung out teenager with like very little access to any of that
I mean,
stuff,
if there's
right?
a
Like,
will, there's a way. If you want to learn something, go
yeah,
learn it. Um, I find it funny that people always think like at I don't know, I think I'm older than you maybe. But people that are like hitting their 30s and then up into their 40s, right? They always, or at least in my experiences, we behave like, oh man, if only I was young again, I could go back and like soak up all this knowledge and learn all this stuff. And it's like, do you remember being 20, dude? Because when you're 20, you don't think like that. You're like, no, I want to
I
go out
would have just done more drugs. Like, just to
and
be honest, like if I could
no,
go back now, I probably would have just done more
right.
drugs. Like I probably
No,
would squander.
100%. No, dude, 100%. And I think it's funny because you can always tell somebody that really did a bunch of dope, like because they use terms like get well, get my meds. Like I was just trying to like, it's never like
Yeah,
I was trying to buy cocaine. No, 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 dude, you're trying to get your meds, bro. You're trying to like get well.
yeah.
I've heard I'm trying to get well so many times in my life. It's a dark joke, but it makes me chuckle. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I've been there. Oh man,
It's
waking
funny
up.
because I don't tell war stories much. I really do try to focus on like I'm in recovery and like I do a 12-step program and like those things are like super important to me and they like enable me to have like a very big life where I've been able to like tour the world and I've been able to like do like some pretty incredible things like charting on Billboard and like going to Costa Rica and
That's
playing
so
shows,
badass.
like things that
That's
I like never in a million years like would have expected for myself, like coming from where I come from. But like I will say this, I was the kind of person like if we were at a party and you put out a line of cocaine for me, I would be like, thank you very much. And I would like sweep it up and go to the bathroom and shoot up. Like that was like I
oh,
was not like a fun person to party with. So when you're like oh like doing like I never had like a fun party phase. Like it was over with for me pretty quickly. Like it went
oh, it
from zero to
elevates quick.
60.
Or
Yes,
escalate. It
exactly.
escalates very quickly. Like
Yes, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
swore up and down I would never touch a needle until I sniffed hot cooked heroin once, and I was like, and my buddy goes, you can get like twice that feeling just without all the nasty shit in your mouth if you just. And I was like, what? He did it for me, and I was like, oh, you're right. Oh, and fucking
I
laying on the
hate it when they
couch.
explain it to you. Like, don't explain it to me. Like, you're gonna like people sell it to you. You know what I mean? Like, don't give me all the information. Like, that's the one
Right.
thing I will stay ignorant about for sure. Like, because yeah, shit like that would happen. People would be like, "Oh, did you know there's this more effective way?" And I'd be like,
I
"Ah,
didn't need to
no, I
know
don't
that.
need more." Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like, teach me some Shakespeare, my guy. I don't need
Dude,
to know like a better way to do cocaine. You know?
I want to go back to the piano thing. I want to play the piano now.
Yes,
Like, what are we doing? It's funny, man.
yes.
I'm happy for you that you got to do those things.
Thank
It's
you.
funny. You said you got to see a Rembrandt that weekend in LA. I got to do something that probably around the same time you were doing that. I was putting my feet in the Pacific Ocean. I've only been out of Texas a couple times. So like I literally
Yes.
have a little video clip of me and you can see the shit-eating grin on my face, but I'm so happy to be and it was cold as fuck, dude. I was like, oh, I was freezing, but I had to go like put my feet in the water. I wanted to be by a beach, get some pictures, and dude, that high lasted like 3 days. I felt good for like 3 days from being able to see the ocean, man. So like I can relate to your stories is my point. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, the first time I went to Europe on tour, I was like, "This is, are they gonna like?" I kept being like, "Are they coming?" Like, I kept like waiting to get arrested, like the whole time. Like, I'm like in the line at customs, and I'm like, "Okay,"
uh,
and I'm not doing anything wrong, like that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
there's no one is coming. Like, I'm
No,
just
you're just it's
doing
anxiety from
literally.
your past
Totally,
life.
totally.
When you do a bunch of shady shit, and I'm not even gonna say bad, just shady stuff. Like you're
Oh,
doing things
for sure.
your whole life, you think the worst is gonna happen. Like the first time I went to LA, because I've been out of Texas 4 times. Twice was to LA, and no, I'm sorry, 5 times total, but twice was to LA. The first time I went, I was going home, and I'm so glad I got up early. I got there like 4 hours before I had to be there because I was worried about like I'd never been there, and I was like, I don't know how long it's gonna take to get through all this stuff. I lost my fucking driver's license. Dude, the amount of like terror that I had deep in my stomach as I was like, in my head, I was going back to jail, and I was like, why would I
You're
even go
going to
to jail?
jail. Yeah,
I didn't do anything.
obviously you're going
Yeah,
to jail.
right. And I was like, God damn it, I can't be in a jail where I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that lives here. Like I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna call
The
people?
towers, yeah.
Dude, I was so scared. And then ultimately I made it home, and like the whole trip, the plane ride home, I was just like coming down from this terrible feeling of anxiety for like a solid 2 hours. But yeah, man, life is funny, man. It's funny. It's fucking
So when I got clean, my sponsor had to go with me to get my first bank account
okay.
because I was like, I had a job, I got like my first job, you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, like I was taking my paychecks to check cashing places. Like there was no me clean versus me
Oh
using
man.
drugs. It kind of looked very similar at that point, you know
Right.
what I mean? I was just still doing all this stuff. She's like, you can like get a bank account. And I was like, can I though? And so she went with me, right? And we're sitting there and she's like literally holding my hand. And I get like they approve it and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm getting a bank account. And at the end they go like, do you want a debit card? And I was like, can I have one? Like she's like, well, it actually comes with the account. Like you kind of like have to take it. And I was like, are you sure? And even at that point, I was like, I'm getting arrested. Like that is clear. I'm going to jail. Like when she was handing it to me physically, I was like, this is it, take me away. I'm done for, And like that is a mentality that I had for a really long time. And so, at 14 years sober, it's like get to tour, get to be in bands, get to make art, get to wear fancy clothes. Because when I used to go to jail all the time, they thought
Oh
I
man.
would get called fancy. I would get called bougie all the time because I always had my nails done and I wear prescription glasses, right? So the girls in jail would be like, this bougie, whatever. And I'd be like, dude, this is $20 in 2008. And also, I can't see. So I'm wearing, like, this isn't like fashion, you know what I mean? But like when you're in a place like jail, as frequently as I was, those things really matter. Like, just to bring this back to like adornment, like the little tiny things about identity that you can hold on to in those environments. And this is also true
Yes.
of me on the street, right? Like, it meant so much to me because I had nothing, When you are literally stripped of your humanity and you are made to be a number with a uniform in those environments, and your underwear are not your own, and you're sick, and you're just trying to survive the moment, stupid things like that matter so much to you because they set you apart. They let you be an individual in any way. I used to take the elastics on my underwear and make little headbands for myself, right?
Oh,
I would like
I
wrap
don't
them
doubt it.
and make
In
little
in
bows
jail.
in them. Yeah.
Oh, you get very, very creative in jail. Like you're bored, you got nothing but time. And I've only been a few times. I'm not like some kind of pro or anything, but dude, I've woke up there twice. That shit is terrifying. Waking up in a place where you're like, oh, I know where I'm at. This is not good. What did I do? Like, I fell asleep at my car once, like just nodded out on pills, and I came up. They thought I was drunk at this place I was at, so they called the police. I didn't know the police were behind me, so I jumped in my friend's car, turned that bitch on, and ran right into a squad car. And like I don't even really remember it. Like I can remember it happening, but I don't remember doing it. And it's like that's terrifying in its own right, man. Like life is a roller coaster. You gotta be careful out there. I'm happy that I wake up every day, go, oh shit, I'm still here. This is great. Like
Very good.
I got no business doing what I'm doing. I'm the happiest dude in the world because of this shit.
Well, right. So I get clean and I have that sponsor, the one who helped me get the bank account. And I go, listen, she's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, all I've ever cared about my whole life is music and art and culture. Like that's all I cared about. And I was like, I want to do music. Like that's it. And she, bless her, but like she was like, man, I don't think you can do that right now. Like you really just need to focus on staying sober and healing because you can't just go back to shows. You can't just go out to bars. like you're not going to be able to like go be in touring bands. Like that's not a thing that you're going to be able to do for a while. And I
Mm.
remember being so pissed, just so angry because I had squandered all of my 20s, right? So I was like, man, I gotta go, you know? And she was like, you can't, you gotta heal. And I was just like, you know, I don't really know that I gotta heal. You know, I was like, I'm good, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, tent, trauma, cool. I'm on my way. But it was all I wanted to do. It was like literally all I wanted to do. And so I took like lovingly her advice and was like, no, like this is what's important to me. And so that started my whole journey of like getting myself back involved in music and back in the scene and like making sure that like I was gonna have like the ability to like do the only thing that had like literally ever mattered to me besides heroin, right? Because that was really the only thing that I ever really loved.
I
So
was
like
thinking that.
heroin and music, like I didn't have like heroin, that was it. Like those were the two things. And so when I had to get rid of one of those and mourn the loss of that, right? Because it really was a mourning process for me.
Oh, for
It was
sure.
it was like the thing I loved the most in the world, really. And then what could I replace that with, right? And so, you know, like to lesser or greater degrees of like that being healthy for me, I certainly followed through on that, right? Like it was like what I was committed to doing. And like I'm still committed to doing that. Like I still love touring. I still love standing on stage. I love making merch. That's always been something that's like really been fun for me. I love
Making it or designing it?
both.
Okay.
I love designing it. I love making it. I love having the idea, right? So I'm going to be doing that for Shadow Age. So like Aaron and I have been working on stuff. Like I love the idea of creating a physical object, like almost more than anything else. Like just you know that feel, I don't know if this happens to you, but like I like lay in bed, like I have this sort of like almost like a golden hour, like a blue hour or something, where like I'm sort of half asleep, half awake, and
Mm.
that's when my ideas usually come to me, and they'll usually come like wholly formed, you know, like it's like boom, you know, and and then I'll make that whatever it is, right? And I keep like ideas in my notes app like that, you know, and like and those moments, like you can't get better than that. But the second moment is actually seeing the finished product, like hearing the
Oh,
song physically holding the object, like those things, like those are like the moments I live for, like unboxing something that was like an idea I had at 4 a.m. while I woke when I woke up halfway. Like there's no better feeling in like the world than that, you know. So
oh,
there's people who make shit. If you make shit, you make shit. Like I've always been somebody who loves to make things, you know.
I understand. I think we have a different way of getting creative. I'm always like, I've learned to have something with me that I can either record or write down stuff because it's always when I'm really busy that I go, oh, idea, and then I have to like write it down or say it into a microphone. Um, but yes, I like when coming up with a plan for a label or something, and then actually having a record show up in a box with 150 copies of it. I'm like, this is amazing. Like I yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're incredibly similar people, which I didn't know you very well until recently, so I think that's pretty fucking cool, honestly.
There's like an obsession with like little things like center labels, you know, like as an example, like, and that comes from collecting reggae 45s, but like, and just punk in general. But like, yeah, like I'm obsessed with center hubs and like the way they look and like what the ideas are behind them. I'm obsessed with packaging in general for releases. So like what interesting things can you do? Like can you make it metal? Like, you know, can you make like I love, you know, obviously I'm obsessed with anything factory related, right? So like
Right.
all those ideas that Seville had are like super inspiring for me. Because to take this full circle, like the punk stuff was always just about being avant-garde. There were no rules in the beginning, you know. There were
Right.
no like it was just really like about what do we think is next, right? Just asking yourself like what you think the future is going to be like or like what is fucking important or like powerful and next, right? And like trying to be purposefully like deconstructive and like destructive in general or like take things apart, you know. And that stuff is like super inspiring for me. So like what if it was a cassette that's like also a cigarette pack or like you know what I mean? Like those things
Yeah.
are like really fascinating to me and it's been done. I mean, we're not like I said, no one's reinventing the wheel, but that stuff is like super like I'm like, yes, that's all the good stuff, you know.
Man, your mind works in a pretty incredible way. I like some of the stuff that you come up with ideas. I think I'm a little more generic than that, if I'm honest. I've got my ways to be creative. I think that stuff I come up with is pretty cool. But I'm a workhorse, man. I stay busy, busy, busy. That's my favorite thing in the world. Busy, busy, busy. If I don't overwhelm myself, I ain't gonna get shit done. Straight up. Like I gotta have 75 irons in the fire, or ain't nothing getting made. Um, but
Well, I
well,
also, yeah, I think too, we have both have working class backgrounds. So it's like, I think
yeah.
like that coupled with it, it was like, yeah, you
Man,
work.
if you can be a drug
You just
addict and
work.
not die,
Yes.
you have work ethic that is unparalleled. I would spend 5, 6 hours a
Yeah.
day doing that stuff just to get
Oh
my
yeah.
shit. And so, like,
I had to
working
come
for
up
8
with
hours,
at the end, I had to come up with like about 150 to $200 a day
yeah, I
at
was
the end.
probably in the ballpark of like a 120. Like, for sure, I was
That's
doing oh,
insane.
that's so much
I
money
mean,
even now.
I mean, inflation wise, it'd probably be like $2,000 at this point. I don't know. But also, fentanyl's super cheap, so maybe not. I don't know. But
Oh,
either
dude,
way, like it was an insane amount of money. It was just like, yeah, every day, like doing the work of like 12 people, you know?
facts.
And yeah, those skills, like those transferred over for me for real. Like that ability, to work and like kind of work endlessly and also like really obsessively work towards something. And like those things were really like all those defects of character like transferred over into assets for me like after I got clean. It took me a
Yeah.
while to see that, right? Like I wasn't like, oh hell yeah, like I'm clean, I got this. I'm like working at the
No, it
mall. Like
takes a
I
while.
think
Something has to happen to where you can relate those 2 lives being similar to where you go, "Oh, I think I'm gonna be alright because I used to be alright when I wasn't alright. I think I'm gonna be fine. I think I'll be okay. Let me take a chance because if it's calculated, I'm able to look at this without the fog. I can look at the maybe make a wise decision. I mean, every day is a calculated risk in my opinion. You do something, whatever it is that you do, be it go to work at a 9 to 5 or whatever, it's all risk. You all just wanna get back to your home at night and, I don't know, how much can you go forward every day,
yeah,
whether a little
yeah.
bit or a lot. It's all risk though. You can't. None of it's just free.
Yeah, I think too, like as far as like music goes, like the it's very privileged. People usually don't come from backgrounds like ours in this milieu, right? Like a lot of people don't have stories. They don't get to tell their stories, right? They don't get an opportunity. Like being an artist or a musician wasn't like something that like I was encouraged to do. Like
No,
my mom's dream for me would have been like registered nurse. You know what I mean? Like that would have been like the pinnacle, like, oh my God, she's president of the United States. Like we have won the lottery if she's like, a nurse. Like that would have been like the highest goal. Waitress at an oyster bar would have been like a really close second. Like they would like there was not like a whole lot of like, yeah, it was just like practical goals. You know what I mean? It was not ever this idea like, oh, I'm going to go to art school and then I'm going to like spray paint something red and talk about it as like a blood clot menstrual thing. You know what I mean? Like, like my parents were not like, go be an artist, like go be avant-garde. Like that was not on the table.
I mean
Um,
I have
and
friends that are in
drug
full
addict.
fledged. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I know people that are in full fledged bands and their parents are still like, you're a loser, and I'm like, dude, they make a living doing this. Like, what do you mean loser? Like they're doing like their dream, and parents
Yes.
don't necessarily
So
understand.
I've always viewed being in a band as a working class vocation, right? It is a working class vocation. Being a musician is very much just putting in that time. And if you are not willing to do that, and that's suffering, I mean, I don't think anyone thinks that tour is fun. It can be, for sure. And I've gotten to see some really amazing things and be around some really amazing people. But like, yeah, I've always viewed it as just like anything else. Like we're the circus. We are there to work, right? Like, and I think that that's lost a lot. And I think it's really important. So like whenever I meet somebody who also has my story, who's actively making art or being in a band or like doing something in their scene or their community, I'm always like, hell yeah, because like we don't get that voice often or that opportunity often to like have a platform or to like talk about our stories. And so what you end up with is this great flattening. That's a Damon Way quote, like this great flattening of culture, right? We're like we're only hearing from certain voices, right? We're
Right,
not
right.
hearing from everybody. And because the internet has made subculture so accessible and music so accessible and art so accessible to everybody, like you're getting even less and less of those individual like unique voices. I think it's like one of the reasons that we mourn the loss of like these legends that we're like losing in punk rock right now so much is because they were such individual beautiful voices, right? Like you knew who you were hearing from and what those perspectives were. And I think we, I hate being like old man shakes fist at clouds, but like I do think that there is this general flattening of culture where there aren't as many people from those interesting places. Like the best quote I ever heard about how to start a band, this is like the best advice I can give anybody, is do not start a band with the most talented person in your neighborhood. Start a band with the most interesting,
Oh,
right? They don't
yes.
have to play an instrument. They don't have to know shit about being in a band. They have to be the most interesting person you've ever met. And if everybody in every town in America started doing that tomorrow, we would end up with a fresh new crop of the most incredible bands you've ever heard in your life, right? Because yes, you have to have a skill set. Yes, you have to be able to actually play drums. Yes, you have to be able to actually play guitar, right? But like it's the ideas, right, that come from those interesting characters, from those people who really are from the shit, right? That are really somebody you just like meet and you want to hear them talk. You want to hear what they have to say. You want to like laugh at their jokes. Like that's the stuff, those ideas, right? And people who are like that don't get an opportunity to make music much anymore. Those opportunities to make art are less and less for people like that. And so those are the voices I want to hear. Like that's the stuff that I find interesting. Because yeah, like I want to know what some girl in a tent has to say right now, right? Because I was a girl in
Totally.
a tent. So like I know that whatever that girl has to say is probably pretty cool, you know? And I also know that she's probably not going to get a chance to ever say that stuff.
I mean,
Um,
if you don't get those people's like their ideas out there, it just becomes incredibly sterile. Like it'll just be so. I mean, that's what it is when you have like a. I hate to use this word and upset people, but like that's what happens when like you get like radio friendly pop punk stuff. It's like a derivative of a derivative of a derivative of, and you're like, oh, these aren't the fucked up people. Like you can tell, like they didn't. They're just like imitating a guy that was imitating a fucked up person, and so it's if we can get more people that have had I don't know, hard times, I guess is the right term, to create. And like you said, find the interesting person. I mean, the interesting person will always be, uh, they'll have ideas that I think are a little more impactful, probably, at least in my opinion.
yeah, I'm obsessed with this Werner Herzog quote where he talks about like not wanting to live in a world without lions, right? People who are like lions. I want to live in a world with people who are like lions. And I think that's the idea of like what I find interesting about art. And I want to give like a shout out because we were talking about like kids having the scene. Like I wanted to say like Lexi from Springfield, Illinois, her band Worldview. Lexi is amazing. I find everything about her inspiring from like the DIY spirit, and that entire scene in Springfield, Illinois is incredible. Like No Guard, Worldview, like those kids are doing it
No
right.
guard's awesome.
They throw DIY shows, they have touring bands come through, and they're doing it for their community in a way that's like super beautiful. And it gives me like so much hope for like the future because the kids
Right.
really are okay. Like they really are okay, and they really have like all the right ideas about like how things should continue into the future, and like that gives me like a ton of hope, you know? Like I need to
We
know
have
that
those
like
in Houston too. So like not the same bands, obviously, but we have a small. It's funny as if you'd ever noticed, there's like two scenes. There's like a OG scene and like a young kids scene. They don't often meld together, at least not down here. But it is nice to recognize that those exist and to go out and partake and be a part of the youth movement. I don't want to be just the old guy that's at the old guy place. I don't mind being the old guy in the young people's territories for as long as I'm just filming, doing my thing. Like I'm not. I think it's awesome to go watch people that are having new ideas. I don't even have to like it necessarily. I just want to go see it and go, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, yeah,
That
keep doing
problem,
you.
that problem band that we saw in LA, I thought they were great too.
Oh, they are
Like
awesome.
dude had me at cowboy hat and like black gloves, you know. And then like the dumbest lyrics. That's the other thing. Like, not that they're dumb. Well, they are kind of dumb. Yeah. Like that's but
Oh,
like
you're
in
killing
like
me.
such a good way. This goes back to what I was saying about like the dumbest ideas are like the best ones. Like I
Yeah.
believe that. Like if you want to write a song with like the dumbest lyrics, like I'm gonna be like the first one screaming them, which I was singing along to that band having never heard them before. Like I was just like, this is incredible. They stopped me in my tracks. I think I was even speaking to you and I like turned around. I was like, what is this? Like, oh
They
my
were
God, there's a
good.
cowboy hat. They
I
were
thought
great. They were
I
so
bought the 7
good.
inches. I had to. I was like, this is really good. And that band Skinhead is an
Yeah,
anomaly to me. I don't understand that band. I'll have to like do some more looking into them. And just to be very clear to people,
they're
I'm
fun.
like a punk rock kid, so I don't. There's certain things I'm just not gonna know about. But man, let's pivot over a little bit because I want to hear more about music. And I don't know how much time you've got, but I got a couple of questions I do want to get out before we end this. One, we're going to get raked across the coals if we don't at least touch on the subject of Soft Kill. Is there anything that you want to say about the band? I know you told me that the band is no longer. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so Soft Kill has ended.
Okay.
Um, I don't want to speak too much on it just because it's just a very complicated and messy situation. But I'm really excited that I've gotten an opportunity to start touring again so soon, and that Aaron, who also, and what's cool, I'll say this every former member like is doing amazing stuff. I want to give a huge shout out to Lesser Care who are touring as well and have an amazing album out called Heel Turn. So like what's really been beautiful about the ending of that band is that so many people who are involved in it are doing really awesome stuff. So Aaron has invited me to join him in Shadow Age, and he was our touring bass player for a long time. Um, and then I also want to give a shout out to Ian from Lost Legion. Lost Legion is doing a ton
Ooh,
of really cool stuff.
love that
And
band.
also a shout out to Lesser Care. Des and Zane and Tanner are all touring in that band. And that band's incredible. They're from El Paso, Texas. So if you want
Wait,
to
what are they called?
support Lesser Care,
Hold on,
so
from
if you
Texas.
want to support, there's a lot of ways to do that. Those are three bands that are absolutely amazing and are all former members who are like doing really cool things.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
know that Ian was a former member of Soft. I did not know that. I like Ian's awesome,
or
and Lost Legion is one of my favorite bands that I don't know that I'll ever get to see. I love Lost Legion. Good shit, man. That's
yeah,
awesome.
so and there are a ton of really cool ways to be supportive of all of us like going forward. And I think that's like really important for us to
Well, you've
just
got a
stay like
lot
on a
going on, so there's gonna be
yeah, I
plenty of ways to
try.
stay in touch with
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah, so you
Okay,
can
so
follow me at Rico Case. You can follow at Traffic and Laundry. Both those Instagrams will have information about all that stuff. And you can also follow Shadow Age Songs on Instagram as well.
I'll be linking all your Instagram stuff in the description. So anybody that wants to get in touch or just go kind of, watch, feel free to hit the description and get the links. Okay, music. Okay, so how did you get interested in playing like synths as like an instrument? I've seen you play a couple of times, and I've always wondered like how does that even become an instrument you're interested in? How do you learn how to play it? And like what was your inspiration behind all that?
Well, I think that I speak to the fact that I never had the patience to learn a string instrument despite me attempts to learn to play guitar and bass over the years. And so part of the writing process in Softkill would just involve me playing synth a lot, right? So I also wrote almost all of the lyrics for the last, what, four records. So like I've always written, and that's always been like a way for me to write. There's a lot of melodic information. Like so writing lyrics and writing synth lines, like that was always like my wheelhouse. And performing live, it's really fun because I get to dance, and that's like a huge thing for me in general. So like it gives me an opportunity to play and also express myself in this like really fun way. I never wanted to be like a Brian Eno spaceship vibe. Like I try to keep everything like as minimal as possible and like not look like I'm floating around like the Jetsons or something, which is my big pet peeve with synth players, like in general life. Um, Also, like a huge inspiration for me was Dan from Shadow Age. Like, so I was booking Shadow Age before I was playing with them, and he's a skinhead in a post-punk band. And I was just like, oh, it's Second Empire Justice. Like, this is so dope. Like, this is like everything that I always wanted to see in this type of music. I always loved that type of music. Like the first time I have a story about like how like I thought Joy Division was a punk band for like 7 years of my life because I had a mixtape that had just Ice Age on it. So I'd only heard Ice Age. I hadn't heard any other Joy Division songs. So for me, they were just a punk band. Like I did not understand the
That's amazing.
context, at all. This is like pre-internet, I'm like 13 years old. So like I'm all like, this is such a great punk band. I didn't understand the differentiation at all. Like it just didn't occur to me that there was this whole other like gothier scene of like new wave stuff. Like that didn't occur to me at all. So I got this like really like unique experience of it. And so when I saw like someone like Dan playing in bands like that, or like I when I was a kid and I heard Second Empire Justice, I was like, oh shit,
Mhm.
like this is dope as hell. Like this can be whatever I want it to be. Like this is inspiring to me. And so that's sort of what that process looks like for me of like why, you know what I mean? Because I do think like my presence sometimes seems sort of funny. But also I think the kids really understand this like easily, right? Because they have access to the internet their whole lives and genre is not so specific and subculture is not so defined. So like it's really there's all these like goth sort of skin girls now out there that are like super babes, but they like wear like Susie makeup and Fred Perry's, and they are like
Dude.
absolutely incredible. And I'm like, yes, like this is when I was a kid, this would have been like such the thing for me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like, and now it's happening. It's so cool to see.
the lines have never been more blurry than they are now, as far as I can see. Yeah.
I
How
find
often
it
do you?
cool.
No, no. I'm a little envious, honestly, because when we were younger, there ain't no way that my local scene would have put up with me listening to shit with sense in it. They'd have been like, "What are you doing, dork?" And I'd have been like, "Man, you don't want to like kind of dance like when I first heard uh golly, dude, Canadian band. I'm losing my mind. Homefront. When I first heard Homefront, I thought
Ah, that
immediately, like,
band.
man, oh, I love them so much, man. If I was like, if I'd have heard this
So
when I was
good.
like 20 years old, I would have had to hide it, but I would have definitely had like all their shit on CD and like hidden it in my like unseen CD case or something, so nobody bothered me about it. And my fucking,
I try not to listen to that band because that is the kind of band that makes me quit like makes me want to quit making music because it's so good and I hate it kind of like I love it so much but like I kind of hate it because I'm like this is like too perfect like it shouldn't exist so I feel the same way about that band like Homefront's so good I'm just like like why didn't this exist when I was a kid it's like Bruce Springsteen it's like everything I want you know what I mean it sucks it's like it's perfect
I
but
like
yeah
getting older. It makes me I get well,
I,
I get to like what I wanna like and not give a shit. I just wanna like what I like, and I wanna be meet when I like meeting you, like, I wanna meet people and, like, be friends with people and, like, just do me, like, I know I'm a lot sometimes. I know I talk too much. I get it. It is what it is. I don't give a shit, man. Like, it just is what it is. You either like me or you don't, and I like what I like, and if you don't like it, you don't have to. Like, my best friends don't like anything that I like. It's hilarious. Like, I'm the only guy that's got tattoos, that likes punk music, that, like, goes to shows. It's so who gives a shit? Like, who cares? Like what you want to like, man. It would,
So I'll tell this story because there is like the trope about like hardcore guys like loving goth girls, right? Like
oh
that's like a
yeah,
joke. That's like a joke that's existed in the scene for
that's a
forever. But I'll tell
reality.
this
That's a
it's a reality.
reality.
But I'll tell this story that it's pretty funny. So my good friend Reed Gilchrist, he was a touring member of Circle One in the 80s, right? So like he's Southern California hardcore band, right? And he's like a kid. He's going to hardcore shows like 80, 81. He's like the first 25 on the SST mailing list, right? He kept all the envelopes. Like he has all the envelopes. They came with like stuffed American flag stamps. Like it's all hand typed. Like that was all just stuck in his like kid. Like he kept his teenage dresser, like desk,
Oh,
right? So I go over to his house one day and he's like digging through shit stuff because I think they're like trying to archive stuff or whatever. And he hands me a flyer. It's folded. It's a handbill. And he goes, "Oh, you like that British shit, quote unquote." And I open the flyer like, oh, you like that British shit. I was like, yes. Yes, I do. Please give me the
Right.
British shit. Whatever it is, I'm gonna love it. And it's a new order flyer for their first LA shows. Golden Voice did them. They were one of them was at a roller skating rink, and it's a handbill. So it
Whoa.
literally so he gets handed it outside of a hardcore show, and he goes, well, I thought about going because I thought there might be goth girls there. Because the hardcore comedians always loved the goth girls. And he goes, but I put it in my wallet and then I got home and I threw it in my dresser in my desk and it's still here. Like this was like maybe 15 years ago now. So I actually have this like incredible, like it might be the only one in existence. Like I don't,
Oh, that's
hold on,
awesome.
hold on, it's here. This is like, I don't show this much, but like it's really incredible. So
Oh, that's
it,
badass. Dude,
right. So
that's
this was just
cool.
like it was folded up in a wallet and then folded up in a kid's desk all those years. Um, but I guess that's what I find like so inspiring about scene is like there are these sort of like beautiful tropes that repeat themselves, and then like I end up with that, right? Because he had that moment and just, oh, you like that British stuff so much, and I was like, yes,
I think that's
having
awesome.
no idea. So yeah, I mean, I guess my interest in that this type of music has always been like a part of my like life, I've always felt like connected to like darker sounds. And I talk a lot about how like what I love about like bass synth, for example, is like how you can like feel it. Like
Mm,
it's sound that you can physically feel. And those like feelings, first of all, playing on stage like that is so incredible. Knowing that you're doing that to other people feels really cool. But like for me too, like those sorts of things are really impactful. Like I listen to like a lot of like triangle electronic stuff, and like that's what is great about it. Like it's music that you have a physical reaction to, and because I've always loved dancing and I've always loved early reggae stuff, it's the same stuff. Like I'm like I want serotonin music. And then I also want sad stuff, and I want to
mm.
feel that stuff. I want to feel music in like this really visceral way that like hurts me. Like, you know what I mean?
It
Like
No, but it
maybe in
feels
a good
good though.
way.
Well,
Yes,
no, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
I like to sometimes just be alone and cry because I'm having like a thought of something that was just horrible, but I'm like, I need to get this out of my brain or whatever, out of my body. I need this away from me. And sometimes, I mean, I'm an emotional person. Like I'm always high strung. I'm always like redlined. Well, that bleeds into other parts of my everyday life. So like I like to sometimes just like purge it out of me. And if you listen to a really sad or watch a sad movie or something, it's good for you, man. It's good for you to get that shit out of your brain, get out of your off
And
your chest.
I don't believe in guilty pleasures. I actually like this is an argument I get into with friends all the time. Like I don't believe there's guilty pleasures in music. Like there's just
Okay.
pleasures in music and there's
Right,
just like
right.
shitty feelings in music. But like I'm not there's like no for me there's no like shame attached to music at all. Like what an insane like imagine dedicating your entire life to something when you're like 11 years old and then like being like, but I have all these shameful ideas around it. Like I'm not going to do that to myself. You know what I mean? Like I love it. And I don't experience any shame around listening to any of the music that I like, because it's supposed to just be that pure experience of it. It's not, there's no rules. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
I subscribe to a lot of rules. I subscribe to a lot of
right,
rules,
right.
but also like no one is going to care what I'm listening to in my car. It doesn't matter. Like I get the freedom to
Nor
do
should
that.
they. Nor should they.
Yeah.
Like, people
I
shouldn't even.
also love to challenge expectations of me. Like I'll like I post a lot of music that I'm listening to in my car just to like mess and be like, yeah, I'm listening to Fulio right now. Like I'm totally I'm totally listening to Fulio right now. I'm listening to things that like you wouldn't expect, right? And I think that that's good for people to like rap. Like it's okay. Like it's okay. We can listen to like The Cure and cry. It's okay. We can
You
listen
will.
to Oi and go aggro. That's okay too. Like all of it's okay because it's just music and it's like supposed to do that for us.
I wish I was more confident with, like, dancing. I like to dance a little bit, but I'm, like, really fucking bad at it, and I'm also, like, terrified of being embarrassed by doing it. But, like, how could you listen to, like, some good reggae, ska, or, like, rocksteady and not wanna move around? Like, I don't see how anybody sits still listening to that shit. Like, I don't understand it. And, like, you gotta be a real boring ass person to be like, yeah, I can just sit here. If you can't move your arm, like you can't just like bob your head. You gotta sit completely still. That's crazy to me. Like I know,
It's
like
antidepressants, you
it
know?
really
It's
no, it really
antidepressants.
it really is. It's a natural way to make yourself feel a little bit better, man. Close your eyes. Don't worry about nobody's thinking. As a matter of fact, everybody's thinking the same shit you are. Oh, I want to dance to this, but what are they gonna think? If everybody would just realize we're all thinking that, nobody would give a shit. And
That was a
everybody
real
would.
breakthrough moment for me at my first middle school dance. Just
Uh,
like
that's
FYI,
hard.
like
That's hard. That's hard.
I remember thinking, oh my God, everybody's just thinking about themselves. Like I had that conscious thought. I'm like 11 years old, and then I was free. I was like, oh, if I'm sitting here thinking about myself, everybody else is just sitting here thinking about themselves too. They're not paying any attention to me. And
Right.
once like I had that like in my head, I was like, oh, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. And I've always loved to dance. I used to go when I first got clean. I would go to anything. So I was working for like a show promoter. And so I would get guest listed like at different stuff. Like I could get into like almost anything. So if there was like a techno house night, like I would go to that. Like I would go to anything I could get on the guest list too that I could dance. I would go by myself. I couldn't afford to like go
Wow.
to a gym or, you know. So I would just go and dance for like 6 hours sober, like stone cold sober, and not tell anyone I was going. I would just like go and then come home and sleep. And it was essentially like my Pilates or some shit, you know, like I was just like,
That's
okay, like
amazing.
this is like what I can do to like, and you know, I'm not a great dancer, but I do like get what I need out of doing it, you know, which is just that like raw human expression. And like that's always, yeah, like music is that. That is what it is, you know, and so there's never a reason not to dance. I'm a big believer in that, you know. Like I dance when I'm hurt. I dance when I'm injured. Like, you know, I'm dancing when I'm covered in bruises. I
Bam.
dance when I just
Oh,
got my yeah.
god
I
damn.
dance when I just got my rib cage touch. I just got my rib cage tattooed. I
I
dance through
saw
that. Like
that. Oh, god
yeah,
damn.
I don't care. I'm like, this is that my body moves. Like that's and like that's important. I think, you know, that's and I was talking to somebody the other day about like all subcultures based on a two-step, right? That's a quote. I can't remember who said it to me, but like that's a quote. All
It's a good
subcultures based
quote.
on a two-step. And that is such an amazing concept. Like what? Like yes, it is, you know? And so like
Yeah.
we all are obligated to participate in that because that's what we signed up for, you know?
Facts. Dude, there's nothing better than moving at a show. Like I find myself at this age like filming everything, so I'm kind of like stuck doing what I'm doing. But I'm not complaining. I love it. But moving at a show is like one of the most funnest things ever. Like you ever go to a show and you'll be seeing a band you love, and let's say it's a band you haven't seen in a little while, right? And then you see somebody else who you also love but you haven't seen in a while because you both love that band, and you just see each other from like across a pit, and then you're like, ah, and you just like, you run in there, no worries about your health, no worry about your knee hurt, no your back hurt, and you just run in there and you grab them and you're running around in circles, and maybe you'll jump off a stage, maybe you just run in circles a lot, who knows? But it's like you said, it's a I don't know if serotonin, dopamine. It's all that chemical shit in your head just going. And then when you're
Yeah.
done, you're sitting on the concrete outside. Maybe you're just having a taco at a little pop up stand, or fuck, I don't know, sitting in your car and can't hear shit. And you're like, that was amazing. Like,
Yeah,
it's so
yeah. I
good.
mean, that's the right kind of nostalgia to live in, you know, like that's
Right.
the good stuff, you know, that's the stuff that matters, you know, like
So
those feelings are the same. You know?
it's a necessity. I think all of us. I think everybody within like punk rock, oi, we all kind of have this like that's like a thing that it bonds us. That's our glue, is that we all have that same exact need for that. I think we all come from a pretty broken background, I would think, whether it's drugs or just being poor, man. That shit will break you, man. Being real poor will break you. It'll make you hate everything and be sad. Like, so we all come from these weird backgrounds, and that's the glue that keeps us all together is movement and sound, obviously sound. But yeah. So before we get out of here, what are some of your favorite like modern bands right now? Because I have a feeling that you're going to list some stuff that I've never heard before. So I want to hear. Give me like just a handful, two, three, four, five, whatever you have on the top of your head. What are you listening to right now?
What have I been listening to right now? Okay, so I love No Time, obviously. Betoname, I love them
Oh,
so much. That's
so
like one
good.
of my favorite bands to watch live right now. I've
He's
actually like
awesome live.
done. Yeah, I mean that's my perfect like the James Brown of Oi, right? Like that's a perfect example of somebody who's like really pushing the envelope. And their new record, like the new songs are all like very funk, like they're weird dance beats, like they're trying to do something new in the genre, which like I'm 100% sure they will get a hard time for because it's
Oh,
so difficult and
dude.
rigid. But also, if anyone can push it forward, it's them. And yeah, they're like just really incredible performers, but also like this. It's just gonna be. I've gotten to see that band more times than almost anyone else on the planet. Like I'm not. That's not an exaggeration. I've seen them like 38 times. Like I toured with them, so
That's
and
awesome.
I've been to just a bunch of their shows, and every time is just like as inspiring as the time before. Um, and yeah, I love No Time. Um, what am I super inspired by right now? I've been listening to this rapper from Malta called Reese. I'm obsessed with him. I didn't even know like where Malta was
Yeah,
on a
where is that?
map. I still don't know.
That's
Fascinating,
awesome.
right? So that's been something that I've been listening to a lot. Um, what else? Avissa Max, which is like this house techno DJ. She's
Okay.
so dope. She did like a Fila campaign. She's incredible. Um, yeah, I listen to so much different music. Oh yeah, I've been super into Neverending Game and Desmadre. I don't listen to a whole lot of hardcore, but both those bands are super dope. I also caught the FYA Fest performance of Foundation, and I thought that was super sick. Like I listen to like literally all genres of music, so I try to like push myself into like listening to stuff that is like new and different. I obviously listen to like a ton of reggae stuff and soul stuff. I've been going back and listening to a lot of Lust for Youth lately. So like
What
I
was
just
it? What was
all
the
the
name of
like
it?
Lust for Youth. So
Lust for You.
there's a label called Posh Isolation, right, that did like VAR, which ended up being Ice Age. Like a lot of sort of like electronic post-punk stuff from like Denmark and from
Cool.
Europe.
Okay.
And so they just went out of business. Sacred Bones ended up taking a lot of those bands and a lot of those releases and repackaging them and releasing them in the early 2010s. But like those I've been listening to like those bands a lot. Like I love VAR and I like it's I've been trying to go back to like that first wave of like post-punk revival stuff because Shadow Age has been around since 2013, right? And there
Okay.
was this like energy behind like this idea that like I mean like a wave, you know, where people were like suddenly wanting to make that kind of music again, and it was
Yeah.
super inspiring. And I think because I lived through it, I got like really like passé about it, right? I was like, yeah, okay, I've heard all this sort of stuff, right? But like now I'm like actually like that stuff is like way more interesting than I find like current dark wave bands to be because I'm like, no, what were those people doing when there was a revival like where there was no context for it, right? So
Right.
that stuff has been super inspiring for me. So I've been listening to a lot of that. Also like their artwork was just so dope. Var's music videos were incredible. Like Ice Age's first record is pretty good. I didn't like the second one. It's too like Nick Cave-ish for me. But like I've been listening to Helm a lot also because that dude I think was in the Chisel like somehow, but like he had an electronic project before that called Helm that was great. That was also like feel you music, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Um, it was just like so much like body music. I don't know how else to put that, right? Like, but he was definitely like a synth wizard for sure. Um, Damon Way showed me this band from Spain that is so good, and I'm trying to find them because I feel like it's completely worth mentioning. But there's like a bunch of really cool Spanish electronic stuff being made that is super dope. I'm not gonna be able to find it right now. It's a bummer. I'll have to like give you the link for it in the bio because
Yes.
it's like
Anything you want to send me,
it's
like, like
yes, totally.
I always feel like I don't know what I'm talking about when I start talking to other people that like music the way I do. Because like out of all that, I don't think I've maybe heard of 10% of the stuff you mentioned. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I thought I like had a pretty decent idea of what's going on. But I mean that's the way it is though, is I could probably name off 30 bands that you've never heard of. I mean, it's
Oh,
very
absolutely, you
regional
can.
too. So, you know, if I'm down
Totally,
here, there.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely you could. And also like I listen to like just very strange stuff. Like I try to like push myself every like week to like listen to something that I've like never listened to before and like to find something that is interesting and inspiring that's outside of genre. Because here's what's like to me, like that's what's interesting about music. Like what if it was this, but then it was like this, right? So that's not, I listen to music like that, right? Where I'm like listening to it in like this way where I think about like, okay, like what are these fundamentals here? Like what are these like themes, like these ideas, these like textures and feelings, like so like what could it be, right? So like
Right.
I'm listening to like like electronic music, but I'm thinking like, oh, how does that apply? You know what I mean? Like what could change about that? Like what effect could be put on that? Like what vocal approach could make that different? Like I was talking to my friend about this the other day, like thinking about drum beats and similarities as far as that across genre, right? Like
Okay.
drum parts, right? So that's how I've always experienced music is like genre is important, it's also like not music. Like it's not
Right.
actually what music is, right? So we assign and ascribe all those ideas, but that isn't necessarily like what the thing objectively is. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, I mean, music is so, I don't know, it's so fluid. Like you have to blend genres to get anything new anyway. It's not even new. Like I said earlier, we're not reinventing a wheel. I don't think anybody is, but
Right.
you ever just go back and like find how do you stumble upon music typically? Mine's through YouTube a lot. Like I'll just get recommended something and then it'll lead me down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. So I just Alvilda, that French power pop band, they're so freaking good. They're
What
coming to the
what,
US on tour. I'm going to the
what are they called?
Chicago show. Alvilda, Alvilda. They are so
Oh,
good. Like
I know that band. Yeah.
so good. So I guess okay, like to be honest, I have people like I'm doing traffic and laundry, right? Because like I want to be able to like tell people what I think is important, right? But like
Right.
I have people in my life that I look to, right? Where I'm like,
For
what are you
sure.
listening to? You know what I mean? Like I have friends who are DJs and like really like and obviously in touring bands and like they're going and like seeing bands and like they're traveling the world too. And so all of us are collectively sort of like out there finding what's interesting and important,
Yep.
right? Like what's good. So like I have people I like, but also yeah, like I'll just go down a rabbit hole. I was talking to somebody the other day about how like I've never gone to any of the hardcore fests like ever. It's like not my jam. But like I watch all that stuff on YouTube. Like
Okay.
I watch like an entire FYA fest or this is hardcore fest on YouTube just to see like what I might like. And I'll never like necessarily like love every band or even like close to it, but like I'll watch all that stuff because I'm like interested. I also really believe that like hardcore moves the culture, right? Like it moves underground
Right.
culture. It's like if you're not paying attention to it, then you're like missing out on a
Well,
lot about seeing, you know what I mean? Like a
inspiration,
lot of movement and inspiration. Yeah, totally.
it'll come from stuff that you didn't expect it to. If you're watching a
Absolutely.
hardcore fest, you might get like you may hear like a little, like I don't know, like a half a riff that could transform into a whole entire like bar of
Yes.
synth stuff that you're like, oh man, and you would never know you got that idea from listening to fucking a 2003 Victory Records release. Like, who knows?
And this is my whole point with it. Like, maybe I said earlier, like, there were no guilty pleasures. I might have actually found mine. Like, my guilty pleasure is apparently watching entire hardcore fest on YouTube.
Hey,
That's like,
you get there how you get there. You get there how you get there. I used to like
it's like
hardcore.
me
A lot of
watching
stuff
like
didn't like it.
White Lotus season one into Foundation set at FYA. Like, what? Like, I don't, like, that's my night, you know, my fancy night.
What's the weirdest music that you've come across that you were like, huh, I never thought I would like this. Do you have something that maybe you didn't expect to like that you did?
God, that I didn't expect. Like, that's an interesting question because I look to like I do look to like
For sure.
first. I think
I
it's
think I'm
way
kind of
easier. Are you an old like you're not like that? That's okay.
yeah,
That's
I think
okay.
I'm always like, eh. And then it takes me a while and then I like stuff. It's rare that I just hear something and love it. When I do, I usually am like, oh, I'll take all of this, please. But usually I hear stuff and go, I'm good. Like people go, hey, you should listen to this. I never am. I don't know what my deal is, dude. I can't accept that and go, oh, thanks. I'm always like, it's not that great. And then like months later, I'm like, oh shit, I should have just been like, that was awesome. I don't know what my fucking problem is, man. I'm a curmudgeonly old shit. Like,
No, no, and to be fair, like we are kids of the 90s. Like we were taught to dislike things as a like a fault, like a default position. It was a safer place to be. I will
right,
say that, like, because we grew up in an actually dangerous scene during an actually dangerous time to be in a scene,
right.
it's an easier position to take the negative, right? Like I'm not
Yeah,
risking telling somebody I like something. Dear God. Dear God, like, are you kidding me? I'm not getting roasted at the skate park for fucking 4 hours by, you know what I mean? I'm not, so I understand
dude,
like a
for
lot of
real.
our, like I wasn't like that, but like I understand why our generation was because I was standing right there where dude was getting roasted, you know what I mean? So like it was easier to have a negative opinion about music than it was to have a positive opinion about music, right? It was a safer stance to have. And I purposefully have like tried so hard in my life to like to have the opposite of like opinion. Like I really want to look to like. I really want to try to like things and be able to defend them and like understand what's good about them or what is important about them without worrying about like all that shit, you know what I mean? And it's not that I'm not
Right.
discerning because I think there's a way to be discerning and decide if you like something, and some shit is just trash, bro. Like some stuff is just trash and it's just trash and you throw it away and you move on. But like, yeah, like take the positive like thought first. Like go into it like otherwise you're just wasting your time anyway. Like I'm not gonna like, oh
Right.
no, it's probably this is probably bad. I should probably spend 5 minutes of my precious time figuring that out or not, you know? Like, no, I'm gonna give it things a shot. I don't know what's oh there we go. So Brian Eno did a collaboration record in 2023 with this Fred Again guy who's like an EDM guy, right? And I was like, oh, like like EDM, like I don't know, my coworkers are all super young. They keep me young, but they're like, you know, they're into that kind of thing, and I'm just like, I limits, right? I love to dance, but like I'm not doing Molly, so like I don't know.
Right, right.
Um,
That makes a big difference.
it's a huge difference. So I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna like this. Like it's Brian, like I don't know, I'll give it a shot. And then I like started listening to Fred again. Like I started listening to the EDM artists. I actually listen to him more than I listen to Brian now. Like it's just like, oh, I'm never gonna like this stuff. It's so corny. And instead I'm just like, oh, so good. So it's all the
You gotta
candy.
find your little pocket. Like, I was told that, "Hey, you should listen to jazz," and I was like, "That shit is pretentious garbage, bro, I'm good, man." And then somehow I stumbled on, very specifically, 70s Japanese jazz, and I literally was like
Perfect.
I know, I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." I was like, "Oh, no, I can't afford this right now. I don't have the money to be buying 70s
Yeah.
jazz records," like, oh, man, that's amazing. Yeah,
No, that's what I mean. It's like that's perfect. Like that's perfect. Like that example is everything that I want to hear from people. Like when they tell me like I'm like, tell me what your obsession is. Tell me what your weird obsession is. Like, do you eat dust bunnies? Do you listen to 70s Japanese soul?
Who do
Like
you know that does that? You know, that didn't just come out of thin air. You know somebody that eats dust
I
bunnies.
think that was an episode of Intervention or something.
Oh
Like
shit!
when I was using drugs, I would watch all those shows, like those reality intervention shows, like obsessively.
Yeah,
I would be strung out on heroin, like if
yeah.
I had
I'm
access to a
not that
television.
bad.
Yeah, or I'd be like, I'm definitely that bad, but like, fuck this bitch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Oh,
even think I think I was just obsessed with the idea of getting clean too. That's another part of it. Like, I
well,
always
it's
wanted to.
everybody wants to. It's hard wanting to because you have to want to more than you're scared of the feeling because it hurts. Getting clean hurts. It's physically painful. It's fucking horrible. You hate everybody. You hate yourself. Nothing tastes good. Nothing smells good. Nothing feels good. You're just in an immense amount of pain for depending on what you're on, but like typically probably weeks. I think my first really bad withdrawal was like 3 weeks or so, and it was like I thought it was never going to end. And then one day I woke up and realized that it was kind of over, and it was like a real steep drop off. Like it was like horrible flu for like all these days, and then all of a sudden I woke up one day and it was like I had a bad cold, and I was like, oh shit, I can go outside. I lost so much weight. Oh my god, whatever, man. It's fucking yeah.
See, look at that. Look at the positives, the silver lining.
Oh no, no, no.
I'm sure.
I'm happy as fuck, but I'm just thinking about
Yes.
that like those days where especially when you don't want to tell nobody what's going on, like you're ashamed of yourself. Like asking for help is so hard. Like, hey guys, if you're watching this and you need help, like hit me up on my DMs, but I'll talk to you, bro. Straight up, like.
And same, by the way, that is sort of my like it's my one general rule, like love to the suffering addict. So like if you are somebody who is a drug addict or is an alcoholic and you need help or resources, like absolutely reach out to me. Like
Facts.
I will help in any way that I can. And I go to this subculture specific Zoom meeting that's a
Very
recovery
cool.
meeting that's all people in our subculture. So that's a really great resource. And those people are all over the country. So if you are in any city in America, like we can find somebody to help you. And like when I got sober, like one of the big things for me was like, I don't want to wake up and be like driving a minivan, like normed out, like,
Right.
oh, like I lost myself in the process, right? Like it was super important for me to maintain my identity and be a musician and be an artist and be in my subculture and be myself and not lose those things about me that were like super important to me because what would the point have been of getting clean, dude? Like what would you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it would have been like I would have just been miserable. So that group is really cool in that like it's all people like that who got sober and so you there's no like it's an easy ask relatability wise, like you know what I mean? Like we all have the same story. To be fair, all drug addicts and alcoholics have the same story. I
Right.
believe that.
Well, that's
Right.
why we
But
can
like
all get along so well so quick. It's just because it's like it's kind of like yeah, remember that? Fuck, man. Like it's just it is what it is. Like I mean,
I
it's
love
a
that. I mean, I don't feel any shame about it. Like that's the
no. I
craziest part.
wouldn't
Like if
even
there's
change
somebody,
it. I wouldn't even change it.
I think my favorite people are criminals and drug addicts and prostitutes and fucking artists and weirdos and circus people. Like I love freaks. Like I'm
Well,
one. You know, like
to be fair, those are the coolest people. Like
they really are.
yeah,
They really
like,
are.
I think that the world is a very boring place without all of the fuck ups. And I love you if you're out there. If you need somebody, man, I've been doing that shit for a long time. I've been helping people out for a long time. I'm not saying that for any kind of like gratitude. I just like I love doing it. So if you need somebody, I don't have to talk. You can just vent, like whatever. Hit me up. You're not alone. Nobody's ever alone. You're not alone unless you have no way to contact me. And if that's the case, you're probably not watching this. But for those people, fuck, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that's a pretty beautiful place to stop this. I gotta go hit the restroom and then get ready for another podcast. But I really appreciate your time. I think that your story's probably just beginning. If you need me for anything, hit me up. Let me know. Check out Shadow Age. Once you get Traffic and Laundry up and going, please let me know so I can be a supporter. Once you guys do some records that you write on or are a part of, let me know. I'll review them and I'll promote them. Whatever I can do to help, I would love to. And maybe we'll talk again one of these days.
Yeah, we do have, there is going to be new music this year. There are going to be
Fuck yeah.
shows and tours starting in the summer. So you will see me in your city. And also, yeah, there's going to be new music and merch for Shadow Age coming up. So I'm stoked on that. And then, yeah, Traffic and Laundry. Let's go. You want my weird brain like this all the time?
Yeah.
You
Hey,
want to hear
like I
from my
said,
weird brain weekly? You get an opportunity to.
you're gonna inspire some people to create some of the stuff and you won't even know it. So just keep doing it. Like you specifically, Nicole, please keep doing it because you're gonna inspire somebody. Maybe some girl, maybe some fucking newly sober dude that's reading up on your blog or whatever. And like, I think that's important. So, I think it's, I'm
Hey, I'm
excited to
just
see where
doing
it
it.
comes
I'm
over.
doing it for the girls in the tents, baby. Let's go.
Fuck, dude. Yeah. Anyways, that shit.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you
no
so much for
problem.
having me on. This was really fun. It was really fun talking to you.
Yeah, I had a blast. It went by way too fast. So if, you have anything you need to talk about or whatever, just hit me up.
All right. Thank
Awesome.
you so much.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a good day. I'll see you next time on the Punk Rock Review Podcast. Peace.